Well, hello, world. If you stuck with me so far, I guess you deserve the ending. So, let's discuss a few more pieces that are written in stone, if you take it that way, on the Giza Plateau. One would be the pressure equalization chamber. That is located, I guess I may have mentioned it already, right here we have the three Queen's chambers, Queen's pyramids, Bing, Bing, and Bing. And by the way, let's discuss the Queen's pyramids, which is located three of them by this structure. What you're going to do is, if you have anything up there emitting or consuming, emitting, whatever, a electrostatic or radio bubble, by putting something there, it gives it the ability for it to jump to ground. The way they are constructed, it's actually this way on this structure. If you look at them, and you can take your little goo-goo guy and put it there, it is designed to catch the static electricity and draw it back to the structure. And if it eventually peaks the amount, to get it out to natural ground, wherever natural ground will be around here. And the way I assume it to be, natural ground will be somewhere here, because everything else is unnaturally a saturation of liquid. Now I do, as I was saying, I believe there are actually two pools of liquid, one pool up here and one pool around the other side, and then actually a third pool out here. And that is by looking at all the structures on the plane, but we can get into those as we bicker more as to how the actual system functioned, but I'm just looking at the main structures and what goes on. And also located right out to the east of the structure is a pit area, and that pit area is so constructed, if you look at it, you can take your little Google guy and look down there. A bunch of people have pointed it out. You have a relatively squared hole in the ground with three different divisions. So you got one division which divides it in half, and then a division which divides those in half. And it's not even half. I think it's like 1/3, but you can look at it. And then there's a opening below this lip line in this structure. Now, what that's going to allow to do is, I'm suggesting to you, we have different densities of liquids within this. I'm suggesting to you that they're working with heavy water and light water. And this would allow the heavy water, which is in the conduit along the back opening, the way it is, to come up, and before it breaches this particular level, it would spill into the other side, and or the other way around. If the liquids are coming up to here, it would allow the heavy liquid to spill into that side, and then if enough liquid is coming out, it would breach it and spill into there. If and when we get to follow these conduits to their termination, we can prove these. But as time goes on, I'm going to assume that this is separating the different liquids, allowing a overflow of one particular type to bleed out of the system. And as I put this into its mechanics, build a model either in CAD or some physical structures, we're going to find that as time goes on, we get an abundance of a liquid here or there. And there are, I believe, multiple ways for these bleeds, if you will, off of the system to occur. Just like when you have too much steam in a hot water valve, it blows, psst, but that doesn't get rid of the system. It just allows for an escape. One way is over in here, we have the gases coming in also are allowing something to escape. The top edge of what they call the Grand Gallery, I like to call it the condensation chamber, has a opening that has since been plastered over, but you can look at it, that went into the pre-room and would vent up into that pre-chamber, the antechamber. And then that would be allowed to be brought into here and escape. I also feel that there's the opening at the same elevation over on that one corner. There are videos of this. Don't even have to make it up either. And in that room in there, in that one corner, which would be closest to the inside of the structure, there seems to be a little well where it recedes down. I am not past believing that as this system goes more and more into fruition and we build it and it grows, that they are going to get to the point where they have no problem venting off what I'll refer to as light water, and they want to focus on the heavy water as the system grows. And it may be John Paul Pierre or John Pierre, whatever, he has like a double last name, assumed a spiral. They assume, well, I'm not going to go into what they assume. They believe that they have found a spiral conduit coming out of the structure. And I do concur that if that spiral structure does exist, it may have been there, and it may be found to be a light water bleed, which would allow light water to come out of the system, maintaining heavy water within the system, further amplifying the functionality and awesomeness of the structure. We're going to find that the area I was talking about in front of here is acting like a balancing act within the pools of the liquid to allow I believe the heavy water, which didn't even get into what's happening within this structure, but I do believe that we are working with the condensation of heavy water, the way it is constructed and the way everything alludes to, that it would allow that to come out and then the heavy water to be siphoned over and brought into here. And now it does look like, we are talking an area here like a mile. However, they have time on their side. They're letting nature do all the work. And I don't think the distance of a mile bothers them. In fact, the way the whole system is constructed, was it Tesla that said you have to take into effect forces of nature. There's, I can't remember the exact quote, but it ended in you have to focus on frequencies and energy and stuff like that. Which is why I guess if I have to put a name to this whole conglomeration, I want to call it the resident ambient frequencies and forces. And I'm going to call it hypothesis, although people like to call it a theory. So, resident ambient frequencies and force. Whenever you're looking at any part of the structure, this being high static electricity, this being low static electricity, this being the median static electricity, at any point when you look at a droplet of water, whether it be in gaseous form or liquid form, it is always looking to dissipate its energy, and it is always looking for the path of least resistance. And this whole structure was designed to work with all of that, to quarantine it and direct it in the direction it wants to go. Now that's as simple a rundown as I can go, and I'll be glad to expand. And most of it you don't even need to make demonstrations. It's stuff that you come across in your everyday life. Static electricity, something you come across in everyday life. Water running down, in the shower, it goes on the wall and runs down the wall. These are not things that you need a lot of demonstration for. However, no one has really, in my opinion, that I have come across, has put it all together in one piece and showed it to you as a system. They like to focus on bits and pieces. Now, you can tell me where I'm wrong, you tell me where I've made a mistake, because any mistake that you point out is something I need to correct in my view of the system, as long as it's a force of nature and not some theory about star alignments and pharaohs. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Please drive through.
And my puppy wanted to say hi. Yay!